Hello, this is Amista. I am just stopping by today to do another Meet Amista live event and give people a chance to kind of get to know me, see what I'm all about, find out, you know, whether you like me, whether you would want to get a reading with me. If you have questions about psychic abilities or your own psychic abilities, then this is the place to ask. I may not know everything, but I do have some answers. And so if I don't know what you are asking about, then I will definitely go ahead and let you know, hey, I don't know that. But I will give you the answers that I do know, and hopefully this time will be of some benefit to you. So, as of right now, this moment, since we just started up, there hasn't been anybody that's shown up yet, but people will be pouring in, I'm sure, as soon as they see that I am here and I am live. So I want to set my timer. I want to be here for a certain amount of time at least, and then after that, I'll be taking off for the rest of the day. So let's see, there we go. So just waiting for people to show up now. That's always a fun thing. Just waiting for people to show up while I figure out what to talk about, because this is going to be a video that people are going to be watching, trying to find something that would be useful. So just to talk about mediumship a little bit, not so much mediumship as much as spirits who have crossed over. So spirits who have crossed over can give us messages um, anytime that they want to. The question is, are we going to receive those messages? Are we open to those messages? And so a lot of times, maybe we're not so open to those messages. So I think it helps too to know what kind of message a spirit can give you. So when a spirit leaves the body, it becomes completely energy. It's all spirit, it's all energy. So what happens at that point is then that spirit now can work with energy. So it's very common for someone who's crossed over to try to leave messages for people that are still here through things like making a CD skip, possibly, or messing with the radio, or maybe influencing things so that certain songs come up for someone to hear that would mean something between the two of those people. Also, lights. Lights are very common. They can. I have a situation with one person who's crossed over who fades the light, just dims it, and then brings it back up. I have other situations where my lights just stay on just barely, even after I turn them off, and they should be off. I've heard of people having lights that wouldn't turn on or wouldn't turn off no matter what the switch was doing. All of that is spirit. Well, you can't say all of that is spirit. You should always look for a physical explanation first, too. But a lot of times that's spirit's way of talking to us to mess with our electronics. They can mess with our computers, with our radios. They can mess with cameras. They can mess with voice recorders. And spirits actually, once they're strong enough and kind of have figured out what they're doing over there, or once they're out of their bodies, are able to move things as well. I've heard of several different instances where spirits crossing over have moved some things just to leave a message for somebody who's still here. So there's a lot of different ways spirits can manifest. Sometimes you can even actually feel them touching you as if they were almost here in person. Maybe you feel a hand on your back or somebody stroking your hair. A lot of times that can be spirit too if there's no other logical explanation. And you do want to look for the logical explanations. You don't want to always just assume that it's spirit. Let's see, what else would you need to know about that? So I just want to tell the people who are watching now that this is your chance to kind of get to know me. This is your chance to ask questions about, what to expect in a reading from me. How do my psychic abilities work? Or how do psychic abilities work in general? If you are growing your psychic abilities and you have some questions about some of the things you're experiencing, feel free to throw those up there. I'll be happy to talk about those things and do a little bit of mentoring or coaching if I can, if I know what to tell you in that situation. If I don't know what to tell you, I'm just going to flat tell you. I'm not quite sure what to think of that or what to tell you about that. But if I can help you, I'll be glad to. Let's see. So this is really, just a chance to interact with me in some kind of live way. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them right up there in the text box or the chat box, whatever they're calling that there. And then I can see those and answer those. And there is a little bit of a delay from the time that I'm actually speaking till the time that you actually hear what I'm saying out on YouTube. So if I don't answer you right away, don't worry, just give me some time to actually see that show up in the chat box. And once it shows up there, then I'll be happy to answer that question. So, any questions for me? Feel free to shoot them out there. It's really hard when I have to think about what I want to talk about just here all by myself without anybody to interact and flow back and forth with. It's much more enjoyable when there's an actual conversation going on as opposed to a monologue. Nobody wants to hear anybody's monologue, and I am not big-headed enough to think anybody would want to hear mine either. So let's see, what else can we talk about? So one of the things that I do in my readings is I do tarot. I also read energy. I usually use a combination of tarot and energy. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just put down a tarot card and see what kind of impressions I get. And then I'll also listen for what kind of messages are coming through energetically on top of that. That's what really adds to the accuracy of my readings, is being able to find out what else is in there besides just what the card says, being able to dig deep. So that really helps a lot to be psychic. I know some people say that they can read tarot cards without being psychic. I guess technically you probably could, but I would hate to have to do that. To me, it just seems like there's so much more information, layers and layers when you're psychic, that comes through than if you would just memorize the meanings of the cards and try to go just with that. So anyway, somebody asked me a question here. I hate having to come up with all the topics all by myself. And I also don't like a quiet room. I want to be helpful. I want to give you guys information that will help you. So if you have some kind of question, that's awesome. This is not just all about me self-promoting. My big passion actually is to mentor people who are getting started in their own psychic abilities. So if you've got some things going on that you don't really understand exactly what's happening, or maybe it's just something that's kind of new to you and you're just kind of like, wow, that blows my mind, I would be happy to talk about that with you. If you have questions about getting started, if you have questions about, well, how do I practice psychic abilities? How do I expand psychic abilities? I would be happy to answer questions like that. Who has psychic abilities? I'd be happy to answer that question. Anything that you guys want to ask out there. Really, I'll talk about just about anything. If we want to talk about a good cornbread recipe, we can talk about that. Doesn't matter to me. Just as long as I get a chance to meet and interact with some more people that I wouldn't normally meet and interact with. That's the beauty about this world and our technology, isn't it? That we can meet and interact with people all over the world, where before we were pretty limited. Pretty limited. Mostly people within our own town. And then we had the phone. But you only talked on the phone if you were home. And inside. If you're outside working in the garden, even though you were home, if somebody called you, you couldn't talk to them. You didn't even know the phone was ringing, probably. So now look at us. Wherever we go, we're always connected. We're always hooked up to the rest of the world. Everybody has the potential to reach us. And it's just an amazing thing to be able to be in touch with so many other people from all over the place. I've had readings with people that are from Nigeria and from the Netherlands. Thank you to Skype. It's just amazing to me what we can do with technology. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them up there. I love to answer questions, whether it's questions about me personally and how I got started in my psychic abilities and how I do my readings, or whether it's questions about you and what you're learning in your own psychic adventures, or what you would like to know about your own psychic adventures. If you have questions about what's going on, I love to answer questions like that. This is just a chance to kind of get to know me and decide if I'm somebody that you would want a reading from at all. And also, this is your chance to kind of pick my brain about the type of work I do and what's involved with it and whatever else you might want to know about it. I'm sure I don't know what all kind of questions you guys could have. I've been doing this for, let's see, I used to say 3 years, but I can't remember when I started saying that. I guess I've been doing this for about 4 years now. I started in 2011 to do this professionally. I did this for friends for a little bit before that, but I've been doing this professionally for about 4 years. And I love it. It's a really great career for me. I love to be able to help people, so this fills that bill totally. And I've always really enjoyed spirit, sacred spirit, God, being in touch with God, and my spiritual relationship with Him. So this just feeds into that too. So it's a really great combination. Very fulfilling. Plus, of course, also nice that it pays my bills. Nice to be able to do this full time. I am so blessed to be able to do what I love full time. So really, I'm running out of things to talk about, guys. If anybody has a question for me, please fire it up there. I would love to answer questions for you. Whatever questions you have. We can talk about a good cornbread recipe. We can talk about fry bread. We can talk about Native American traditions. I know a little bit about that. I'm learning more about that. We can talk about tarot cards. We can talk about energy reading. We can talk about how does psychic stuff work. Indifferent Sky, I see you saying, does this work? Glad to see you back in the room, darling. How are you today? I was starting to think nobody was going to talk to me. Actually, I wasn't starting to think that. I'm not that negative, but it was not looking good. Actually, nothing has been asked. Nothing has been asked. There's only a little bit of notice before I came online today. I think I had like 2 minutes of notice out for people, so there's not too many people. I personally love Colorado. Personally, I think it's great. I love it for the hiking. A lot of people love it for the skiing and the snowboarding. It's a lot of good outdoor stuff. I guess there's good hunting and fishing here too. I see fishermen around all the time. When I worked at the photo department in Walgreens, I used to see people come in with big pictures of all their hunting stuff they had done. So it's very nature oriented, and the energy here is much different from anywhere else that I've ever lived. Where do you live right now in Different Sky? It's fantastic. You should come here one time for just like a two-week vacation and check it all out if you can. I love living here. I live at the foothill of the in the foothills to the Rockies on the eastern slope. But the energy here is very different. The people here are very different from anywhere else I've seen in the United States. They're very laid back. They're very green. They're very recycle. They're into doing their own gardening. They're into organic stuff. They're very much into taking care of themselves, bodily and spiritually. So I think the energy around here is really great because people are just, they're very aware, if you know what I mean. Like they're very aware of their own emotions and what they're going through. Colorado, I'm not sure about compared to South Dakota if it's expensive or not. Oh, I didn't realize there's a 20-second limit. I know there was like some kind of spam limits, but I didn't realize that that's what it was. It's been a long time since I've been to South Dakota to tell you if Colorado's more expensive or not. I can tell you it's more expensive than Missouri. A cow like the first year that I came here because I was used to buying watermelons for $3.99 for the big ones with seeds in them. And then when I got here, they wanted like $6.99 for them. This year they're less expensive. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but they're only like $5.99 or $4.99. So the whole first year I didn't even buy a watermelon. I was just pissed. I was in culture shock. I was like, oh my gosh. You wrote too many comments at once. Well, that's one way to find out the limits, huh? Welcome to the other visitor, whoever is here besides Indifferent Sky. We're glad to see you. I'm here just answering questions, just talking, getting to know people for a few minutes. I like to answer questions about psychic stuff, of course, because that's what I do, mediumship. If you are a budding psychic or medium, if you have questions about things you're going through, I'd be happy to help you with answers for those. I love to mentor people who are just coming into this world and exploring it. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them out there. You know, it's funny, my customers really don't mostly come from Colorado. Most of my customers come from the East Coast. I have a lot that are in New York. I'm not really quite sure why that is. But then I've also got clients who are in Nigeria, and I've got a few that are from the Netherlands, and I've got some from the UK, and I've got one sweet little couple that lives in Italy, and so they just come from all over. A lot of my readings are actually phone readings or Skype readings. It's very much electronics based. Awakened Awakener, I can see that how many people are in the room. That's what I can see. I can't tell who you are that's in the room. I can just see that there's a certain amount of people. So that's that. Yeah, it is really interesting. I started out just doing local clients before I was on YouTube, and then once I went on YouTube, that really boosted my client base a lot because it's just not limited. It's every part of the English speaking world, and if I knew another language and was fluent in it, I could tap into that too. But it's been really quite the ride since I first came on YouTube. Excuse me. In fact, I tell all my friends who are in this business that they really need to get on YouTube. I think the first month that I was on, I had $500 worth of business, and then it worked up to like $2,000 worth of business a month just from YouTube clients. You're good at reading tarot, but you don't think you're psychic. Probably you are. One of the reasons I actually started reading tarot, because originally all I did was energy readings, was that I read, I think it was in a John Edward book, that tarot can increase your abilities. Although don't quote me because I'm not sure, but I think it was a John Edward book. Anyway, some medium had written that reading the tarot can increase your abilities, and I wanted to increase my abilities. So now at this point, I think it's a little bit more of a crutch for me. I like to lay down the cards, and it helps me focus. But definitely my abilities have gotten stronger the more I've practiced. How long did I study at Boulder Psychic Institute? I was there. I took the Self-Healing 101, 102, 103 there, and then I started on into the next class. I can't even remember what it was. And then I was still working my 40-hour job whenever I was taking classes there, and it just got to be too much on me. But they really helped me a lot with healing. I don't know that I learned so much about actually reading there, but they learned me a lot with, they learned me a lot. They taught me a lot about healing. I'm glad I do well too, because this allows me to do this full time, and this is my passion. So it really makes it nice to be able to make this my actual life. I know so many people who wake up every morning and go to work and they don't feel passionate about their work. They don't feel fulfilled at their work. They don't feel like happy. Like they don't wake up and go, oh my gosh, I have some readings to do today. Woohoo! Which is pretty much how I wake up every day. Oh my gosh, I have some readings to do. Woohoo! And I'm always excited about the people that I'm reading for. I have a lot of repeat clients, and I'm always excited about talking to them again. And I have a lot of new clients that come in as well, and it's always so exciting to meet somebody new and get to feel their energy and see what they're all about. So I am really, really, really blessed. Very blessed. Definitely. In fact, one of the things that I like to say, one of my affirmations, whenever somebody asks me how I'm doing, I always say, I am doing fantabulous. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm doing readings today. And then I go on. That's the basic stuff. And then I go on. My YouTube is going viral. My client base is expanding. My life is good, good, good. I'm getting better, more happy, more peaceful, more prosperous, and more joyful all the time. Plus, my relationships are getting better every day. And I need to add something to that. I need to add, I'm becoming more fit and healthy every day too. You would think that affirmation would be long enough, right? So what other questions do you guys have? Bum, ba, da, da. Beautiful Saturday morning. I'm loving it. We have great weather here. I'm going to go for a little walk later on down by the creek. The creek that's in almost all of my thumbnail pictures for my videos. I love to walk down by that creek every single day. Makes me feel grounded and in touch with nature and spirit. Helps to get me out of the house. And I enjoy sewing. Recently I made a couple of dresses for myself. You can't handle the camera? What do you mean? You mean you don't like to look at yourself? You don't like to see yourself? Hello, hello, Live Radiant. Glad to see you. How are you today, honey? So what do you mean about the camera? Is it just hard technologically? I first started on YouTube October of last year. I got views pretty quickly, actually. I was also working at that time on for a service provider, for a psychic service provider. And so I had told a lot of my regulars, hey, look for me on YouTube, just pop in my name and you'll find me. And so that really helped me a lot with getting views right off the bat. It helps to have people that you're already in touch with that you can contact. But I have a friend that didn't have any kind of platform like that, and I convinced her that she should go on YouTube. She's a very good reader herself, completely different energy than me, but a very good reader. And she didn't have a platform like that, and she started getting views right off the bat too. Not as many as me, but it grows. It's one of those things that it steadily builds. As long as you're good and people like to watch you, then that just keeps on building and building and building. I do generally promote on Facebook. I also promote on Spiritual Unite, and I promote on LinkedIn and one other place. Oh, I have a blogger. I used to write up a tarot card of the day every day on this certain blog. And so instead of writing up a tarot card of the day every day, now I just promote my videos there. But yeah, you definitely want to promote. And I think that my friend also promoted on Facebook. I'm not sure if she promoted anywhere else or not. I know I told her about Spiritual Unite, but I'm not sure if she went there. You don't want to be seen. Well, sooner or later, if you're going to work with the public, you're going to be seen, Awakened Awakener. How come you don't want to be seen? Have you decided that you're ugly or something? What's up with that? Or do you have members of your family that would be like, wait a second, what is she doing? We all have those, don't we? But what I do in Different Sky is I take my playlist, once I've completed my playlist for each week, and I'll just share that. I have a psychic page on Facebook, and I'll share it, like I said, the other places as well. That way, when everybody sees the playlist, they know, oh, there's a video for me to choose. Since there's one for every sign. Bum, ba, da, 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 da. I'm just waiting for you guys to say something else. I really hate trying to be the one coming up with what to speak about. I really want this to be all about audience guided information, things that are helpful for you guys, not just me blathering at the mouth. I know there's a certain amount of delay though while I wait for you guys to get back to me, so I'm just waiting to see what shows up next. I have, I would say there's a couple of faves that I have. One is Pamela Georgil. I think she is absolutely amazing. She's usually right on for me, and if she's not on for my sun sign, she's on for my ascendant sign. And then there's another one I really, really, really like a lot, although she's not always as right on for me. She does a daily read, but she doesn't do it for each sign. She just does it for everybody. And then she does weekly for each sign. I like her weekly reads better because they just work better. But um, right now I can't remember her name. Hang on, I'm looking at my subscriber list right now, and I'll tell you. Oh, Tarot with Tilly, I think is her channel's name. Yeah, Tarot with Tilly. I like her weeklies. Her dailies kind of okay, but her weeklies are really good. Eric R, hello, hello. Glad to see you in the room, darling. Those are the two that I like. There's someone who does rune scopes too. She is pretty accurate. She does a combination of rune scopes and tarot cards. So I like to watch her thing monthly as well. Book suggestions for spiritual guidance and stuff. If you're looking for something about mediumship, check out Never Say Goodbye by Mark Anthony. It's about different experiences that he's had as a medium. And I actually got to see him live. He was doing a, what do you call that, where somebody comes in and they read a whole group of people. And he was really, really good. He was amazing, actually. But he has a lot of good information. John Edward also has some good books out there. Talks about, you know, getting into your own psychic stuff. Yep, Pamela is awesome. Tilly is good. Good to see you too, Eric. You know, the cream of the crop really rises, I think. It doesn't take long to figure out who's really accurate and who's not. And so honestly, there's a lot of readers here, but there's only a few that I would say that I would go to on a general read and expect anything good to come out of that. You know, and that may just be me. You know, those other readers that aren't nailing it so much for me, maybe they're nailing it for other people or other Scorpios. But there are certain ones that just, you know, do really well as far as I can tell. And then there are others who are, I don't know, maybe they're just here to practice. Yeah, you always have to practice somewhere. That's a part of the education in this is a lot of times it's just practice, practice, practice. Because it's not like there are a lot of schools that you can go to. And even if you just go to school and take classes, it's not the same as actually doing it. It's never going to be the same as actually doing it. I hear that in different sky. That's a real tricky one, especially if you're doing general readings. I feel like that's a real tricky one to walk that fine line of being general enough to include everybody, but specific enough that people aren't going, yeah, that could be happening to everybody on the planet. So, and especially if I get something in that's very specific, I don't know if you've seen this on my videos or not, I'll tell people this is very specific, so this isn't going to apply to everyone. It's a fine line that you have to walk. And really, it's all about trusting spirit to bring through what needs to be brought through for the people who are going to be watching your videos. You know, and if it applies to a lot of people, that's wonderful. if it applies to just one or two, but it's something that is amazingly, incredibly helpful for them, that's just as wonderful, I think. You know, Spirit has a way of getting messages through whenever he needs to, as long as we are open enough to listen. Open enough to listen. So what else is on you guys' mind? Or on your hearts? Thank you, Eric. Thank you, thank you. Me and Pam are like that, where we get a little bit so specific, you're like, oh, that's not me. Pam, I've noticed though, if my sun sign, there's my timer. If my sun sign doesn't match, then my rising sign really resonates with me for her. So you may want to try that whenever you're watching her videos. Check out your ascendant. And same thing for me. If you find that a sun sign doesn't resonate so much for you, then check out the ascendant and see what you find there. Okay, so guys, that was my timer. That means it's time for me to take off. I gotta go live the rest of my life. For those of you who want a reading, check me out. I'm at amista.info, amista.info. Everybody have a great day. Peace out.